What happens when the guardians of national security are accused of becoming its greatest liability? In an era where a single, careless text can endanger lives and undermine a billion-dollar military operation, the line between leadership and liability becomes dangerously blurred. We are about to witness a gripping confrontation where a top defense official, Secretary Hicks, is grilled over a shocking allegation. Texting the launch time of F-18 fighter jets into enemy territory on an unclassified chat. This wasn't just a simple mistake. It was a potential leak of life or death information. As the questions intensify, a narrative of success begins to crumble, revealing a disturbing pattern of evasion and deflection. The core question is no longer just about a single text message. It's about whether accountability truly exists at the highest echelons of power.
Secretary Hegseth, I'd like to clarify a few important details for the record. When you texted the launch time for F-18s going into combat over enemy territory facing anti-aircraft missiles on an unclassified signal chat, did that launch time come from Central Command, yes or no?
I know what you're referring to, and there were no
It's a very simple question. Did it come from? It's a very simple
or,
question. Did it come from Central Command?
Well, in this committee, no way in which I communicate or what I communicate on a successful strike is something that I would share.
So you can't even identify the combatant command under which this operation occurred?
Well, everybody knows the combatant.
Okay, so everyone knows this Central Command. So when Central Command sent you this information, did they send it on a classified system or an unclassified system?
Well, as you know, having served yourself, any way that the Secretary of Defense communicates or provides information in and of itself is classified and not to be discussed.
So what was the classification marking of the launch time when it was sent to you? Because DoD regulations require information on classified systems to be marked.
What was the classification mark time?
Yeah, what was the classification marking? Because
again,
DoD
classifications of any information in an ongoing operation that was successful are not things that would be disclosed in a public forum.
You can very well disclose whether or not it was classified. It's not classified to disclose whether or not it was classified. And in fact, DoD regulations state that any classified information has to be labeled with its classification. Was it classified secret or top secret?
What's not classified is that it was an incredibly successful mission against the Houthis.
Okay, so it was classified. So are you trying to say that the information was unclassified?
I'm not
okay,
trying to say
anything. That's what I thought. You're not saying that. So you took classified information from Central Command that had a classification marking on it, because that's what's required by DoD regulations, and you put it on an unclassified system. So we're going to get a report in a few days from the DoD Inspector General. And if the DoD Inspector General finds what is pretty obvious, both to you smiling there in the witness seat and to all of us up here, that the information was, in fact, classified, do you plan to take any accountability for that?
As I pointed out at the time—
you said that accountability is back. Does that not apply to you?
As I said at the time, Congressman, there were no names, targets, locations, units, routes, sources, methods, no classified information.
Okay, so if it comes back that it is classified, will you take accountability or not? We've already established, you've already admitted that it was classified because everything you get from CENTCOM is classified. You just explained that to me. That's how you justified not answering the question.
Not what I said. I didn't confirm any classification or clarification.
Okay, so if it is
what
confirmed,
I know is that
will you take
everything
accountability?
I share, everything I talk about,
Mr. Secretary, does accountability apply to you or not?
Is classified whether I talk or not.
Does it apply to you or not?
Does what apply to me?
Accountability. You said accountability is back at the Secretary.
And you know what? The Houthis were held accountable for shooting at our
I'm just asking if it applies to you.
Very successfully.
I'm not asking about the
previous
Houthis.
administration let our ships get shot at, and nothing was done about it. And thankfully, because of the skill and courage of our troops on the battlefield,
I'm just asking about
we
I reclaim my
put
time.
them in a place
I
where
reclaim
they
my time.
called for a ceasefire.
I reclaim my time. I'm just asking if accountability applies to you. It's a very simple question. We use leadership by example.
Of course. Unlike, I serve at the pleasure of the president like everybody else does.
So it only applies to the president, not to you.
I serve at the pleasure.
You talked about the success of the Houthi operation. About how much money did it cost? How much money did you spend on missiles shooting at the Houthis?
Well, you'd have to compare that with what it cost.
I'm just asking how much did it cost?
Divert our shipping lanes around.
I'm told it's several $100 million, maybe close to $1 billion. How many U.S.-flagged commercial ships have transited the Red Sea since your so-called successful operation?
Well, thankfully, unlike the previous administration—
The answer is zero.
military vessels transit.
No, I didn't ask
just
about
this
military
week.
vessels. I
Well, which
asked
would
about
be the
commercial
precursor
vessels.
for
How many
civilian and
commercial vessels? It's
transit.
been several weeks. How many commercial vessels, U.S. flagged, have
Well,
transited the
would
Red
you, Mr. Congressman, put civilian ships
The
through
questions
dam
are not to
before
me,
military
Mr.
ships?
Secretary,
So
they're to you.
We have responsibly put military
The answer
ships
is zero.
through first.
I reclaim my time. How many generals and admirals have you fired?
I don't know the exact number, but
You don't know the number. It's 8. Can you explain why any of them were fired? Like, just explain, why was the Army JAG fired? Why did you fire him?
they all serve at the pleasure of the president. And I think
No, I'm just asking you why.
General Kane is a great example.
I'm just
of
asking
a
you
leader
why.
that we
I
need
think you
at
probably
this
learned
time.
at Princeton what why means. Why did you fire him?
They serve at the pleasure of the president, and we
Why
want better
did you
representation
fire
in
him?
each and every of those.
You can't
each and
explain
every
why
one
you
of those
fired any of
places.
them?
The confrontation we've just witnessed is more than a simple political debate. It's a masterclass in rhetorical warfare, pitting relentless inquiry against impenetrable evasion. On one side, a congressman methodically peels back layers of carefully constructed narrative. On the other, Secretary Hicks builds a fortress of deflection, using the very language of national security as a shield against scrutiny. The central accusation is staggering: texting the launch time for F-18 second heading into combat over an unclassified signal chat. In response, Secretary Hicks never denies the act itself. Instead, he employs a sophisticated, yet deeply troubling set of tactics. His primary defense is a logical paradox. He refuses to confirm or deny the classification of the launch time, arguing that any information he communicates is inherently classified and cannot be discussed in a public setting. Yet, in the same breath, he claims his message contained no names, targets, locations, units, routes, sources, methods, no classified information. He cannot have it both ways. Either the information was unclassified and his refusal to discuss it is pure obstruction, or it was classified, and he knowingly transmitted it on an unsecured system, a serious security breach. The congressman corners him on this, noting that Department of Defense regulations explicitly require classified information to be marked as such, a fact Hicks sidesteps entirely. The second pillar of Hicks's defense is the successful mission pivot. When pressed about his personal accountability, he consistently redirects the conversation to the supposed success of the strike against the Houthis. He uses the bravery of the troops as a smokescreen for his own managerial competence. But the congressman dismantles this narrative with hard data. The mission, lauded as incredibly successful, cost taxpayers several hundred million, perhaps close to $1 billion. And for that price, what was the strategic gain? The congressman reveals the damning outcome. Since the operation, the number of U.S.-flagged commercial ships that have transited the Red Sea is 0. Hicks cannot refute this. The so-called success did not achieve its most fundamental objective: reopening a vital commercial shipping lane. This brings us to the core theme of the entire hearing: accountability. The congressman asks a simple, direct question multiple times. Does accountability apply to you? Hicks never provides a straight answer. Instead, he offers a twisted definition of the word, stating the Houthis were held accountable. This is a classic deflection, substituting external action for personal responsibility. His ultimate defense is to abdicate responsibility entirely, stating he serves at the pleasure of the president. This response is profoundly revealing. It suggests that, in his view, accountability is not owed to the public, to Congress, or to the regulations he is sworn to uphold, but only vertically to the president. It transforms a question of professional conduct into one of political loyalty. The inquiry broadens from a single signal leak to a pattern of questionable leadership when the congressman brings up the 8 generals and admirals Hicks has fired. When asked for the reason specifically, why the Army JAG was fired, Hicks once again defaults to his pleasure of the president defense. He is unable or unwilling to provide a single reason for removing any of these high-ranking military leaders. This lack of transparency suggests that major leadership changes within the armed forces may not be based on performance, but on criteria that cannot withstand public scrutiny. In conclusion, the hearing exposes a stark disconnect between rhetoric and reality. Secretary Hicks entered the room, proclaiming that accountability is back, yet demonstrated a complete refusal to accept any for himself. He presented a narrative of a successful, decisive operation that, under the slightest pressure, was revealed to be a costly endeavor with no tangible strategic results. The image of a competent leader was replaced by that of an evasive bureaucrat, unable to answer for his own actions or the actions taken under his command. The incident leaves us with a chilling realization. The systems designed to ensure security and accountability can be manipulated by those in power to evade the very principles they are meant to protect. The question is no longer whether Secretary Hicks made a mistake, but whether the system itself is structured to allow such mistakes to happen without consequence. What do you think about this exchange? Is this a standard political defense, or does it reveal a deeper problem with accountability in government? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth analysis.